Here's something genuinely eerie. Manipulative people, the deeply toxic ones who leave you feeling confused, small, and slowly crazy, tend to use the exact same tactics. People who have never met, in different countries, different families, different relationships, run almost the identical playbook, sometimes word for word. If you've ever walked away from someone charming feeling like you were losing your mind, apologizing for things they did, doubting your own memory, addicted to someone who kept hurting you, this is why. It wasn't random and it wasn't you. You were caught in a pattern. A predictable 5-step pattern that once you can see it, you can never be blindsided by again. Today I'll show you all 5 tactics. The charming opening, the reality-bending middle, and the trap at the end that keeps people stuck for years. I'll show you exactly how to spot each one, and how to protect yourself. And one quick, important thing before we start, because it matters. This is not about diagnosing anyone. It's about recognizing behavior, so you can see clearly and get free. When you listen to people describe their experiences with a truly manipulative partner, parent, boss, or friend, something uncanny emerges. They describe the same bizarre things happening, in the same order, as if they'd all been handed the same instruction manual. The overwhelming, too good to be true beginning. The slow slide into confusion and self-doubt, the way they somehow always ended up apologizing. And the strange inability to just walk away. That's not a coincidence. It's because manipulation, at its most toxic, tends to follow a reliable playbook, a cycle designed to hook you, destabilize you, and trap you. And here's the good news. A pattern that predictable can be learned. Once you know the 5 moves, the spell breaks, because the whole thing depends on you not seeing it while it's happening. 3 things to watch for. First, the 5 tactics in order. You'll likely recognize at least one from your own life, maybe more. Second, why this is so devilishly hard to see while you're inside it. The tactics are specifically built to be invisible to the person they're used on. And third, the most important part, exactly to spot each one in real time, and how to protect yourself and get out. And I'll say it once more clearly, because it's important and it's the truth. Our goal here is not to slap a diagnosis on your ex, your parent, or your boss. Real narcissism is a specific clinical condition that only a professional can diagnose, and plenty of people use some of these tactics without having any disorder at all. But here's what matters. If these behaviors are being used on you, the damage is real regardless of any label. So we're going to focus on the behavior and on you. Let's start with the tactic that always comes first. Before the 5 tactics, understand the shape they usually move in, because the tactics aren't random, they follow a cycle. It often begins with idealization. You are put on a pedestal, treated like the most perfect, special person in the world. Then, slowly, comes devaluation. The warmth cools, the criticism creeps in, and you find yourself confused, anxious, never quite good enough anymore. And eventually, discard. You're pushed away, cut off, or replaced, only for the cycle to often start all over again, pulling you back to the pedestal, and around it goes. Idealize, devalue, discard. Repeat. Keep that wheel in your mind, because each of the 5 tactics is a spoke in it. And the first tactic is the one that spins the wheel to life, the intoxicating beginning that makes everything after it possible. Tactic 1 is love bombing, and it's the hook that sets the entire trap. This is the overwhelming, intoxicating flood of affection at the very beginning. Constant attention, lavish compliments, gifts, endless messages, and an intensity that feels like a fairy tale. They call you their soulmate almost immediately. They talk about your whole future together within weeks. It feels like the most passionate, romantic scene you've ever been experience of your life. And that's exactly the problem, because real intimacy, real trust is built slowly, over time. Love bombing skips all of that and floods you with the feeling of deep connection before any of the substance exists. Why? Because it does 2 things. It creates fast, powerful dependency. You get attached and invested before you've had time to actually evaluate this person. And it sets a high, an intensity you'll later chase desperately once they take it away. The love bomb isn't a gift. It's an investment and they expect a return. Your devotion, your trust, and your lowered guard. How to spot it? The intensity dramatically outpaces the actual history. It feels too much, too fast, too good. Soulmate talk before they even know you. Future plans before there's a foundation. A quiet, uneasy feeling that this is moving faster than it should. Trust that feeling. And here's the test that reveals everything. Try to slow it down. Set a small, reasonable boundary. I'd like to take this a bit slower. A healthy person respects that easily. But someone using love bombing to hook you will often react with hurt, anger, guilt tripping, or panic because you're interrupting their plan. Real love is patient. It is never in a desperate hurry to own you. If the beginning feels like a whirlwind you can't catch your breath in, slow down and watch how they respond. Their reaction to your slowdown tells you almost everything. Tactic 2 is gaslighting, the slow, systematic rewriting of your reality. I've made an entire deep dive video on just this one because it's so powerful, so I'll keep it focused here, but it's a core part of the playbook, so you need to know it. Gaslighting is when someone makes you doubt your own memory, perception, and sanity. They flatly deny things that clearly happened. I never said that. That never happened. You're imagining it. They rewrite events until you're not sure what's real. They trivialize your feelings. You're too sensitive. You're overreacting. You're crazy. And bit by bit, you stop trusting your own mind and start relying on them to tell you what's real, which hands them enormous control. Why it's in the playbook. Once you don't trust your own perception, you can't trust your own alarm bells about them. Gaslighting disables the very instrument you'd use to detect that something's wrong. How to spot it. The signature is a feeling, chronic confusion, walking on eggshells, constantly apologizing, and slowly losing confidence in your own memory around one specific person. If you frequently leave interactions feeling foggy and crazy, that fog is data. How to protect yourself. Keep an external record, notes, messages, dates, because a written record can't be rewritten. Reconnect with outside people who can reflect reality back to you. And trust that uneasy gut feeling. It's often registering the truth your conscious mind is being talked out of. If you want the full breakdown and the complete defense, watch my dedicated video on gaslighting. It goes deep. For now, just know it's tactic 2, and it rarely travels alone. Tactic 3 is triangulation, and it's how they keep you insecure, competing, and off balance by dragging a third person into the dynamic. Instead of relating to you directly and honestly, a manipulator introduces a third party as a weapon. It sounds like this. Constant comparisons. My ex never had a problem with this. So-and-so thinks you're being unreasonable. Manufactured jealousy, making sure you notice their attention to someone else, keeping you slightly threatened. And the mysterious chorus of other people who supposedly agree with them. Everyone thinks you're too much, though you can never actually talk to these people or verify what they said. Why it works. It keeps you destabilized and competing for basic affection you should never have to compete for. It isolates you, because now you're suspicious of the people they've triangulated against you, and it manufactures a sense that everyone is on their side, so you must be the problem. It's a way of controlling you without ever seeming to, by making other people the messengers of your supposed flaws. How to spot it. You constantly feel like you're in a competition for someone's basic decency. There's a recurring cast of vague others, exes, friends, family, who are always conveniently agreeing with them and criticizing you, but always secondhand, never where you can respond. You feel weirdly insecure and rivalrous in a relationship that should feel safe. How to protect yourself. Refuse to compete. The moment you're competing for basic respect, you've already been placed in the triangle. Verify directly. If everyone supposedly thinks something, go to the source. You'll often find the quote was invented or twisted. And never let a third party you can't actually question define your worth or the truth. If someone can only criticize you through other people's mouths, that's not feedback, it's a tactic. Tactic 4 is the accountability escape, often called DARVO. It stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender, and once you see it, you'll spot it instantly for the rest of your life. Here's how it works. You finally gather the courage to confront them about something hurtful they did, and watch the sequence. First they deny, that never happened, you're making it up. Then they attack, they turn on you, criticizing your character, your past, your flaws, anything to put you on the defensive. And then the masterstroke. They reverse victim and offender. Suddenly, somehow, they are the wounded party, and you are the cruel one for even bringing it up. 20 minutes later, you're the one apologizing for a hurt they caused you. They are never wrong, never sorry. Always, somehow, the real victim. Why it's so destructive. It makes accountability completely impossible. Every attempt to address a problem gets turned back on you until you learn a devastating lesson that raising issues is pointless and painful, so you just stop. You stop complaining. You stop expecting change. You accept the unacceptable, because fighting it always ends with you as the villain. How to spot it. You can never successfully bring up a concern. It always ends with you apologizing. Every issue about their behavior somehow becomes about their pain, their hard past, how you've hurt them. You find yourself comforting the person who just hurt you. How to protect yourself. Learn to see the flip the moment it happens. When you raise a real concern and suddenly find yourself on trial, name it internally. The blame just got reversed. Stay calmly anchored to the original issue. I understand you're upset, but what I'm talking about is what happened. Don't chase the manufactured victimhood down the rabbit hole. And accept the hard truth. A person who literally cannot ever be accountable will never change through your effort, because in their story, there's nothing to change. Tactic 5 is the trap that keeps people stuck for years, long after they know they should leave. It's the combination of hoovering and intermittent reinforcement, and it's the most powerful of them all. Hoovering is named after a vacuum, because it's how they suck you back in. Just when you finally pull away, when you've had enough, when you're about to leave, suddenly the warmth returns. The apologies, the promises to change, a fresh wave of love bombing. They hoover you back, right at the moment of escape. You think maybe they've finally changed, maybe it'll be like the beginning again. It won't. It's the wheel spinning back to idealize. Underneath it is the cruelest mechanism of all, intermittent reinforcement. This is unpredictable, random alternation between warmth and cruelty, sometimes loving, sometimes cold, and you never know which you'll get. And here's the disturbing part. This is the exact mechanism that makes gambling so addictive. A slot machine that always paid out would be boring. It's the unpredictable reward that hooks you and won't let go. When affection becomes an unpredictable reward, you become addicted to chasing it. This creates what's called a trauma bond, a powerful chemical, almost physical attachment to the very person hurting you. It's why people who know they're being mistreated feel unable to leave. It isn't weakness. It's a bond engineered by randomness, as real as any addiction. How to spot it? The relationship is a cycle of breakup and passionate reunions. The warmth reliably reappears right when you try to leave, and you feel genuinely addicted to someone who keeps hurting you, full of hope during the good moments, crushed during the bad, unable to just walk away. How to protect yourself? First, understand that a trauma bond is not love. It's a pattern of addiction, and naming it that takes back some of its power. Expect the hoover. Know it's coming when you try to leave, and decide in advance, when you're clear-headed, that you won't answer it. Minimize or cut contact where you safely can, because the bond weakens with distance and time, like any withdrawal. And please, get support for this one. Breaking a trauma bond is genuinely one of the hardest things a person can do, and doing it alone is brutal. There is no shame in needing help to leave. In fact, it's often the bravest, smartest move there is. Step back and look at all five together, because they form one machine. Love bombing hooks you. Gaslighting distorts your reality. Triangulation keeps you insecure and isolated. DARVO makes them impossible to hold accountable. And hoovering plus intermittent reinforcement traps you in the cycle. Every single tactic points the same direction. You end up more confused, more dependent, more isolated, and smaller, while they remain unaccountable and in control. So here is your master defense, the thread that runs through all of it. Trust the pattern over the words. Manipulators are brilliant with words. The words will always sound loving, reasonable, remorseful. But watch the pattern of behavior over time, not the speeches. Second, treat your own confusion as evidence. If you consistently feel foggy, anxious, and small around one person, that feeling is real data, not an overreaction. Third, protect the things these tactics attack. Keep a grip on reality by documenting it. And keep your outside relationships strong, because isolation is the manipulator's greatest ally. Fourth, set a boundary and watch the reaction. The reaction tells you what the charm is hiding. And finally, accept the hardest truth of all. You usually cannot love, fix, or out-argue your way to changing someone running this playbook. The only winning move is often to stop playing, to step back, or to leave. Protecting yourself is not cruelty, it is survival. So if any of this described your life, please hear this clearly. You are not crazy, you are not weak, and it was not your fault. These 5 tactics are engineered specifically to be nearly impossible to see while you're inside them. The fact that you couldn't see it doesn't mean you failed. It means you were up against a pattern designed to blind you. And the moment you can name it, love bombing, gaslighting, triangulation, DARVO, hoovering, it begins to lose its grip, because the entire thing depended on staying invisible. You just made it visible. One last time, gently, this was never about diagnosing anyone or handing out labels. It's about you, your clarity, your safety, and your right to relationships that feel calm and safe, not dizzying and confusing. If this is your life right now, you don't have to figure it out alone. Talking to someone you trust, or a professional who understands these patterns, can change everything. Reaching out isn't weakness, it's the first step back to yourself. If this opened your eyes, the next one goes deeper into how these mind games work. Subscribe, and let's keep pulling these threads. This is Never Heard About.